All right. Animal decomposition. So we're gonna try to work through the wicked. This is my daughter Tora. My name is Joshua. This is Training Adam. I'm just working through reading permaculture, all kinds of subtopics and related topics. I'm trying to understand decomposition better because it's so central to kind of imitating an ecological forest floor and planting out of that, planting perennials out of it. But I don't really understand decomposition, so I'd like to. So I'm kind of working my way through the Wikipedia article today. I'm just going to read animal decomposition, talk about the stages of decomposition, just read through stages of decomposition: fresh, bloat, active decay, advanced decay, dry remains. And I'm going to interact here with, let's see, just got that browser there. You're here, super cool. All right, so let's work our way towards animal decomposition. All right, cool. So decomposition begins at the moment of death. Okay. Caused by two factors: autolysis, which is the breaking down of tissues by the body's own internal chemicals and enzymes, and putrefaction, the breakdown of tissues by bacteria. So we have autolysis, which sound the word auto, avtos in Greek, is self. Lysis, I don't know. Breaking down. In biology, okay, cool. So auto, self, avto. Lysis, splitting. Splitting. So auto splitting. More commonly known as self-digestion. Refers to the destruction of a cell through the action of its own enzymes. Whoa. It may also refer to the digestion of an enzyme by another molecule of the same enzyme. Okay, kind of cool. Have to go back. I need to figure out how to. I really need to figure out how to navigate on this interaction thing, the browser. Okay, so we're back to animal decomposition. Okay, so two factors: autolysis, which we now know is breaking oneself down through enzymes or cells breaking themselves down. So the breaking down, which is the breaking down of tissues by the body's own internal chemicals and enzymes, and then putrefaction, the breakdown of tissues by bacteria. Okay, so two things. The moment death occurs, two factors start working: autolysis and putrefaction. And putrefaction is bacteria breaking it down. Autolysis, the cells themselves, internal chemicals and enzymes breaking them down. These processes release compounds such as cadaverine and putrescine that are the chief source of the unmistakably putrid odor of decaying animal tissue. Cadaverine and putrescine. Whoa. Cadaverine is an organic compound with the formula, I haven't done chemistry in years, so I don't even know how to read this, CH2,5NH2,2, classified as a diamine. It is a colorless liquid, so cadaverine is a liquid, with an unpleasant odor. It is present in small quantities in living organisms, but is often associated with the putrefaction of animal tissue. So, all right, cadaverine is produced by decarboxylation of lysine. It can be synthesized by many methods, including the hydrogenation of glutaronitrol and the reactions of, okay. I'm curious if it's used, okay. Oh, elevated levels of cadaverine have been found in the urine of some patients with defects in lysine metabolism. The odor commonly associated with bacterial vaginosis has been linked to cadaverine and putrescine.
Do you think it's when they're sick? That's when it happens?
I don't, yeah, well, this is like, that's a good question. I don't know what happens to our body when we're literally, if we're in a state of great sickness, because I imagine there's more cell death when we're sick, right? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really know. I know that I'm interested in the word urine there because that's what we use for
our gills.
Our gills,
and
right?
The gills need fungi and bacteria.
That's right. And my question here is, elevated levels of cadaverine have been found in the urine of some. So does that mean, when it says elevated levels, does that mean that cadaverine is in urine? All human urine? I don't know. Okay.
I want to learn about the human body.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Okay, well, I don't know how to do back. There's no back button here as far as I can tell. If I do command over, does it work? Doesn't do it. All right, don't do nothing for me. Okay, so I'll just go back to decomposition. Cool. And I mean, maybe what I'll start doing is actually, I think instead of interacting with a built-in browser, I think I want to like make a browser. Like I want to actually use just a Google Chrome browser or something. I can like change that better. I think that's what I'll do here. That's what I think I'll do. For now, that's fine. So let's go back to animal decomposition. And putrescine. Interesting. So these make an unmistakably putrid odor of decaying animal tissue. Now, prime decomposers, which are detrivores, eating detritus, or detritivores or something. Detrivores I like better. Prime decomposers are bacteria or fungi. Though larger scavengers also play an important role. We have insects, which are tiny, mites, which are super tiny, and this has other animals. I think of like vultures, large birds that are carrion. They eat the dead.
Don't chickens do that?
Chickens eat like everything. Yeah, they eat all kind of stuff. Yeah, they're opportunistic eaters. They're scavengers sometimes. Additionally, soil animals are considered key regulators of decomposition at local scales, but their role at larger scales is unresolved. I guess by unresolved that means we humans just don't understand it yet. They're key regulators at local scales, but their role at larger scales unresolved. Uh-oh. It says error, YouTube is not... What's happening? Is it working? I hope it's working. So it should be good. I don't know. We'll just keep going, I guess. I'll keep rolling with it. I hope it goes. Additionally, soil animals are okay. The most important arthropods that are involved in the process include carrion beetles, mites, the flesh flies. I don't know what arthropods are. I'd like to know that. The flesh flies, sarcophagidae. Okay. Mine's like sarcophagus and I know that fungal means to eat in Greek. And blowflies, Californiae, such as the green bottlefly seen in the summer. In North America, the most important non-insect animals that are typically involved in the process include mammal and bird scavengers, such as coyotes, dogs, wolves, foxes, rats, crows, and vultures. Okay, so if you want to make a microbiome or an ecosystem, a small ecosystem, because that's what we want to do, we want to make a food forest that's a closed. Stages of decomposition. 5 general stages. 5 general, what am I doing? There it is. 5 general stages, man. 5 general stages are typically used to describe the process of decomposition in vertebrate animals. Fresh, bloat, active decay, advanced decay, and dry remains. All right. The general stages of decomposition are coupled with 2 stages of chemical decomposition, autolysis and putrefaction. We talked about those two. So the general stages are coupled with 2 stages of chemical decomposition, autolysis and putrefaction. These 2 stages contribute to the chemical process of decomposition, which breaks down the main components of the body. With death, the microbiome of the living organism collapses and is followed by the necrobiome that undergoes predictable changes over time. That is interesting. These 2 stages contribute to the chemical process of decomposition. Now, this is interesting because the thing is called decomposition, but there's a different article, it seems. Chemical process of decomposition. It's its own article. So, decomposition in animals is a process that begins immediately after death and involves the destruction of soft tissue, leaving behind skeletonized remains. The chemical process of decomposition is complex and involves the breakdown of soft tissue as the body passes through sequential stages of decomposition. Autolysis and putrefaction also play major roles in the disintegration of cells and tissues. Disintegrate, but integrated is, this is the disintegration, the breaking down. The human body is composed of approximately 64% water, 20% protein, 10% fat, 1% carbohydrate, 5% minerals. The decomposition of soft tissue is characterized by the breakdown of these macromolecules. And thus a large proportion, makes me wonder, what are plant macromolecules like? And thus a large proportion of the decomposition products should reflect the amount of protein and fat content initially present in the body. As such, the chemical process of decomposition involves the breakdown of proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids, and proteins.
Does macro correlate with micro?
Yeah, it does. They're opposites, they're antonyms. Micro meaning small, macro meaning large from Greek.
Oh.
Mikros. So macromolecules means large molecules like proteins, carbohydrates, complex molecules. Proteolysis is the process that breaks down proteins. It's regulated by moisture, temperature, and bacteria. See, this is where we're getting down to the brass tacks of decomposition. I really like to understand that. What I don't know is why they're just focusing on animals here. Oh. This is kind of interesting. Yeah. I'm going to come back and I'll read this. I'm going to go back to our other article. I'll read this in a future permaculture reading. Let's get back. I love like just hopping through stuff. So, what are the stages of decomposition? Okay, necrobiome. That's an interesting word. We're not going to look it up right now. Fresh. Among those animals that have a heart, the fresh stage begins immediately after the heart stops beating. From the moment of death, the body begins cooling or warming to match the temperature of the ambient environment during a stage called algor mortis. Shortly after death, within 3 to 6 hours, the muscular tissues become rigid and incapable of relaxing during a stage called rigor mortis. Okay, so rigor mortis is actually
Like when they leave when they're dead?
With C, rigor mortis, right? It's a stage shortly after death, within 3 to 6 hours, the muscular tissues become rigid and incapable of relaxing during a stage called rigor mortis. And maybe in the process of it becoming rigid, it kind of moves. So, since blood is no longer being pumped through the body, gravity causes it to drain to the dependent portions of the body, creating an overall bluish-purple discoloration termed livor mortis, or more commonly, lividity. Whoa. Depending on the position of the body, these parts would vary. For instance, if the person was flat on their back when they died, the blood would collect in the parts that are touching the ground. If the person was hanging, it would collect in their fingertips, toes, and earlobes. Once the heart stops, the blood can no longer supply oxygen or remove carbon dioxide from the tissues. The resulting decrease in pH and other chemical changes causes cells to lose their structural integrity, bringing about the release of cellular enzymes capable of initiating the breakdown of surrounding cells and tissues. This process is known as autolysis. Whoa. Visible changes caused by decomposition. That's just an insane thought. Is it built in? Is the breakdown process built in to the cell's programming? That they are prepared to break themselves down?
So they're always prepared to do.
That they carry around the capability to break down. It doesn't sound like it's breaking down simply by outside external forces acting on the body. It seems like
you're holding your pillow and your blanket and you're ready to fall down and go to sleep.
Yeah, like they're ready for death, which is weird. They're contributing to. So autolysis seems to be, it doesn't just seem to be physical, the result of physical external factors. I don't know. Maybe it is physical, so it talks about the breakdown of structural integrity, but it seems like these enzymes, I don't know, that's strange. So visible changes caused by decomposition are limited during the fresh stage, although autolysis may cause blisters to appear at the surface of the skin. Ooh. The small amount of oxygen remaining in the body is quickly depleted by cellular metabolism and aerobic microbes naturally present in respiratory and gastrointestinal tracts, creating an ideal environment for the proliferation of anaerobic organisms. Whoa. So let's look these words up. Aerobic microbes. An aerobic organism, or aerobe, is an organism that can survive and grow. Okay. An aerobic organism, or aerobe, is an organism that can survive and grow in an oxygenated environment. The ability to exhibit Aerobic respiration may yield benefits to the aerobic organism, as aerobic respiration yields more energy than anaerobic respiration. Energy production of the cells involves the synthesis of ATP by an enzyme called ATP synthase. In aerobic respiration, ATP synthase is coupled with an electron transport chain in which oxygen acts as a terminal electron acceptor. Okay, so aerobic microorganisms, mainly in quasi-suspended nature, were found in organically poor sediments up to 101.5 million years old. 250, okay, the deadest spot of the ocean could be the longest living life forms ever found. Whoa. Jeez Louise. So, obligate aerobes, facultative anaerobes, microaerophiles, aerotolerant anaerobes. Well, interesting. There's some that can survive in both environments. Okay, so, and the anaerobic would be without oxygen. So we'll look that up so that we can see here, anaerobic organisms. So we'll take a look at that. An anaerobic organism, or anaerobe, is an organism that does not require molecular oxygen for growth and may react negatively or even die if free oxygen is present. In contrast, an aerobic organism, or an aerobe, is an organism that requires an oxygenated environment. Anaerobes may be unicellular, e.g. protozoans, bacteria, or multicellular. Most fungi are obligate aerobes requiring oxygen to survive. However, some species, such as the Chytridiomycota that reside in the rumen of cattle, are obligate anaerobes. For this species, anaerobic respiration is used because oxygen will disrupt their metabolism and kill them. Deep waters of the ocean are a common anoxic environment. All right, so good. Anaerobic versus aerobic. Let's go back and look at decomposition. And we're at fresh. So, cool. These multiply, consuming the body's carbohydrates, lipids, and protein. Let's just go back. The small amount of oxygen remaining in the body is quickly depleted by cellular metabolism and aerobic microbes naturally present in respiratory and gastrointestinal tracts, creating an ideal environment for the proliferation of anaerobic organisms. These multiply, consuming the body's carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins to produce a variety of substances, including propionic acid, lactic acid, methane, hydrogen sulfide, and ammonia. The process of microbial proliferation within a body is referred to as putrefaction and leads to the second stage of decomposition, known as bloat. Blowflies and flesh flies are the first carrion insects to arrive, and they seek a suitable oviposition site. Yikes. Look at that. Look at that picture.
What is that?
That's like coming out of an insect's bung.
What is it?
They're gonna find a place to put eggs in. They're gonna look for, these flies are gonna look for the dead. They're gonna pump their eggs into it so the larva eats it. The bloat stage provides the first clear visual sign that microbial proliferation is underway. In this stage, anaerobic metabolism takes place, leading to the accumulation of gases such as hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrogen, so they bloat up. The accumulation of gases within the bodily cavity causes the distension of the abdomen and gives a cadaver its overall bloated appearance. The gases produced also cause natural liquids and liquefying tissues to become frothy. As the pressure of the gases within the body increases, fluids are forced to escape from natural orifices such as the nose, mouth, and anus and enter the surrounding environment. Death is ugly. Ugh. The buildup of pressure combined with a loss of integrity of the skin may also cause the body to rupture.
Isn't supposed to be pretty.
What?
It isn't supposed to be pretty.
Yeah. Intestinal anaerobic bacteria transform hemoglobin into sulfahemoglobin and other colored pigments. The associated gases which accumulate within the body at this time aid in the transport of sulfahemoglobin, throughout the body via the circulatory and lymphatic systems, giving the body an overall marbled appearance. If insects have access, maggots hatch and begin to feed on the body's tissues. Maggot activity, typically confined to natural orifices and masses under the skin, causes the skin to slip inherited and detached from the skin. Maggot feeding and the accumulation of gases within the body eventually leads to postmortem skin ruptures, which will then further allow purging of gases and fluids into the surrounding environment. Ruptures in the skin allow oxygen to re-enter the body and provide more surface area for the development of fly larvae and the activity of aerobic microorganisms. So ruptures in the skin allow oxygen to re-enter the body and provide more surface area for the development of fly larvae. So there's this balance between aerobic and anaerobic decomposition. Oxygen and creating the introduction of oxygen in the environment and the taking away of oxygen in the environment, which lead to a proliferation of gases, which lead to ruptures, which then reintroduce oxygen. So the purging of gases and fluids results in the strong distinctive odors associated with decay. Thanks. So ruptures in the skin allow oxygen to re-enter the body and provide more surface area for the development of fly larvae and the activity of aerobic microorganisms. The purging of gases and fluids results in the strong distinctive odors associated with decay. So let's move into active decay. Active decay is characterized by the period of greatest mass loss. This loss occurs as a result of both the voracious feeding of maggots and the purging of decomposition fluids into the surrounding environment. The purged fluids accumulate around the body and create a cadaver decomposition island. Liquefaction of tissues and disintegration become apparent during this time, and strong odors persist. The end of active decay is signaled by the migration of maggots away from the body to pupate. Whoa. Advanced decay. Decomposition is largely inhibited during advanced decay. Decomposition is largely inhibited during advanced decay due to the loss of readily available cadaveric material. Insect activity. That made me think fungus comes to be the most important. Insect activity is also reduced during this stage. When the carcass is located on soil, the area surrounding it will show evidence of vegetation death. When the carcass is located on soil, the area around it will show evidence of vegetation death. The CDI surrounding the cadaver island, death island, the cadaver decomposition island. The cadaver decomposition island, the CDI, surrounding the carcass will display an increase in soil carbon and nutrients such as phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, changes in pH, and a significant increase in soil nitrogen. So death will increase, at the advanced stage of decay, will increase nitrogen in the soil. Dry remains. During the dry remain stage, the resurgence of plant growth around the cadaver, what's this called? The cadaver decay, the cadaver decomposition island. Cadaver decomposition island, CDI. Cadaver decomposition island. During the dry remain stage, the resurgence of plant growth around the CDI, the cadaver decomposition island, may occur and is a sign that the nutrients present in the surrounding soil have not yet returned to their normal levels. As the ecosystem recovers from the disturbance, the CDI, the cadaver decomposition island, moves into the dry remain stage, which is characterized by a decrease in the intensity of the disturbance and an increase in the amount of plant growth around the affected area. This is a sign that the nutrients and other ecological resources present in the surrounding soil have not yet returned to their normal levels. During this stage, it is important to monitor the ecosystem for any signs of continued disturbance or ecological stress. The resurgence of plant growth is a positive sign, but it may take several years for the ecosystem to fully recover and return to its pre-disturbance state. The resurgence of plant growth is a positive sign, but it may take several years for the ecosystem to fully recover and return to its pre-disturbed state. Interesting. All that remains of the cadaver at this stage is dry skin, cartilage, and bones, which will become dry and bleached if exposed to the elements. If all soft tissue is removed from the cadaver, it is referred to as completely skeletonized, but if only portions of the bones are exposed, it's referred to as partially skeletonized. So that, this is, in the future, I am going to use Google Chrome because I'll be able to zoom in and navigate a lot more easily. So that's what we read today. Just kind of burst through it. I'm going to let that germinate and kind of break down. Do you have any questions or thoughts? No? Okay. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I'm just trying to absorb it and think about it. All right. Undergoing training. You just got to think through things. Try to understand all the surrounding variables that make up this kind of a rich ecosystem that we're trying to build. All right.